Hey there, it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we put together July's Stamp Club cards. Now, so you know, July is the last month of this session of Stamp Club, and we're always looking for new members. So if you'd like to join my Stamp Club, August is the time to do it. Stamp Club, what that means is you place a $30 order, anything you want from the current catalog or an online exclusives using the Stamp Club host code, and you're a member, and then we take turns getting the stamp rewards, and I send you a packet every month. We meet on Zoom. I do a video, so if you can't meet on Zoom, then you can do the packet at your own pace in your own time. So that's what Stamp Club is in a nutshell. If you're interested, be sure and let me know, and I can answer if you have different questions, or probably didn't even explain it very well. But I'm going to show you what I did. Oh, the other thing is it's a commitment for as many members as we have. For example, if we have 6 members, it's a 6-month commitment. If we have 8 members, it's an 8-month commitment, depending how many members we have. And you commit to a $30 order before shipping and tax, and then, like I said, you take your turn at the stamp rewards that the club has accumulated. All right, that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and get started. So for July and August, we're using, and I'm not finding it right this second, the Sea Turtles stamp set. I have all my stamps mounted. The packet looks like this. This is the 3rd card that I sent in this month's packet, and I'll do a video. You'll find this on my YouTube probably the end of this week, or maybe next Monday, a week from tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to do another video, but this will be in a video very soon to show you how I made that card. We're going to start with the blue side of the packet, so everything from the blue card base up, we're going to start with that. Let's talk about what's in the packet. So you have your blue card base. This is that new boho blue. Love that color. There is a piece of blueberry bliss. Blueberry bliss? No. Yep. Nope. I don't know this color. I'll tell you what the color is. Blueberry bushel. There you go. So this is blueberry bushel. We don't need that one. We're going to stamp on the rest of them. So you have this is a sheet of masking paper from Stampin' Up. We'll need that. You have 2 pieces of basic white that are very close to the same size. The larger one is the inside. The smaller one is the front that's going to layer on that blueberry bushel. And then the other one is a scrap that we're going to stamp our turtle on and fussy cut. And then you have some embellishments. I'm going to set those aside. We'll need those at the very end. If I forget to put them on, my apologies. You'll have to add them to your card, like I said, in case I forget. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our masking paper and we're going to tear it along the center here. And this is along the long side. This is the short sides up here. We want to tear it through the long side. This is going to help us to hold our paper down when we're doing our sponging. So on a scrap piece of paper, I'm going to bring that in. And that piece that sits on the front, the one that layers on the blue here, we're going to stamp on that one. So I'm going to set this here, but before I put my masking paper on there, the masking paper is so sticky, we have to get rid of some of that sticking. So I'm going to move the backing, and then you can't see it, but I'm going to take it down here and I'm going to put it on my shirt like this. I'm going to put it on my arm like this. I'm going to try to get some of that sticking. Being careful, watch out, it tears easily. But I'm going to try to get some of that stick off of that paper. And this is just one side. We're going to do it to both sides. So now I'm sticking it down to my clothes where you can't see I'm off camera. But now I got it stuck to my skin. Hopefully that helps. But now I'm going to lay it on my cardstock. And now when you lay it down, you can see through it to see where you want it. So I'm going to lay this one here down, and then I'm going to just check and make sure that I can peel it off, that I've gotten rid of. See how now it still comes off nicely. So I've gotten off enough of that stickum so it stays down. Let's do the same thing to this piece really quick. Take that backing off if I can find it. There, oh, it's right here. It's easy as pie. Okay, there we go. Take that off. I'm going to get rid of that sticky. Just lay it on my clothes, lay it on my skin, try to get that stickum off on my clothes again. So it doesn't, because otherwise if it sticks too much to your paper, especially when you have ink on it, it'll tear your paper when we take it off, and that's not what we want. Okay, I think I have enough of that sticky stuff off. I'm gonna lay this toward the bottom. So now, like I said, you can see through your masking paper to see where your cardstock is, and I want about, I'm gonna go with about 1 3/4 inch gap here. So let me grab my ruler and see if I'm close to about 1 3/4 inches, and I'm not. So I'm gonna peel this one up and move this so it's a little bit higher. Look how nice that's coming off. Whoop, there we go, I tore it carefully. Let's move it up here a little bit more. There, I think that's gonna be fine. And I'm got that seam there where it tore, and it'll still be fine. And let's see, now we have about, oh, exactly 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so that's our gap in between. And then I'm gonna bring in, I'm gonna start with some Balmy Blue ink and a blending brush. And I'm gonna just pick up some ink. I'm gonna kind of start up here on my masking paper. Now, did I mention too that the masking paper stuck to the grid paper is gonna hold this, so you don't have to worry about your paper, your cardstock moving at all. That's what's nice about the masking paper being as big as it is. But I'm gonna just lay down some ink here. And now, depending on what color you're using, like I said, I'm using Balmy Blue. Depends how much ink you want to put on there. Now, the good thing about the masking paper, especially if we have enough of that stickum gone, that you can kind of peel it off and see how much color you have on there, whether you want some more, whether you want less. And I can show you on my card. This one, I got kind of heavy on the ink. And let's see here, I have another one, my sample. This is the one we made at Zoom on our Zoom meeting today. And this one's kind of lighter. So you can see they'll be different every time. I kind of like the lighter one, so I'm gonna just take it easy. I'm gonna go toward the seam, or toward those tear marks, a little darker, so it has a nice border. And then just kind of go across. And I think, you know what, I think I'm done right there. Well, no. All right, I'm not done. I have to go one more time. I'm gonna just get around these edges here and make sure my edges are nice and inked up. Okay, now I'm done. While we're at it though, because we got the inside, I'm gonna add, just like this, a little bit of that blending to the inside. So I'm gonna take it over here to where it's not gonna get on my card front, but I'm gonna just go like this and just add a little bit of color to kind of bring that front into the inside of my card, and put a little bit of color here on the corner of my cardstock, just like that. Okay, now we're done with the Balmy Blue, I believe. We'll see if that changed my mind later. And let's go ahead and bring in the dark green ink. Now I'm going to use Shaded Spruce, and I'm gonna stamp a few of the seaweeds on here. Now I'm gonna make sure I leave room so I can have some dollars, silver dollars, what are those called? Anyway, the round thingies and the fish. But I'm gonna bring in, here it is, that little seaweed, and I'm gonna stamp those toward the edge here. Now the cool thing about this stamp, not only that they're reversible, but they're also, the seaweed can go upside down, right side up. There's no right or wrong with the seaweed there. So I'm gonna go ahead and stamp a couple more on here. Get my seaweed like that, and then I think I'm gonna throw a little one right here. Just a random little, so there's my seaweed, I'm good with that. Then I'm gonna bring in the, nope, almost forgot the inside. And really, if I'm on a really hard granite desktop here, so if you're not, be sure and use your Pierce mat, which I will use later, and I can't find right now. But if you need your Pierce mat, be sure and have your Pierce mat so you get that nice crisp image. I'll show it to you later. Okay, a little bit of seaweed in there. Before I go on too, I need to thank Thinking stamping. That's where I got the idea. I cased this card from her. Beautiful card. Thank you for sharing. The club members today absolutely loved it. Okay, this is that blueberry bushel, same color as our card layer. I'm going to ink up that sand dollar. That's what it's called. It's a sand dollar. And I'm going to just, well, first of all, let's throw one here on the inside of my card. Like that. I think I like it just like that. I'm not going to put any more, but I'm going to put a few down here. And now I'm just making sure that I have room for my fish to swim across my card. And then I'll add my turtle, layer him up so he'll have room too. But I'm going to just do about like that with the sand dollar. Okay, next color, I'm going to bring in some, oop, almost dropped it, Melon Mambo. And I'm going to stamp those little fish in a row. Now, this block, I don't like this block. I should have used a Stampin' Up block. I don't know where I got this block, but every time I do, look, I get my finger. So just be careful. We're doing a lot of stamping and we don't want any smudging. So I'm going to be really careful not to touch my cardstock with my paper. The fish, which is interesting, could go this way or they could go the other way. And in fact, I'm going to stamp them this way. And they're going to just swim across the top of my card just like this. And they also kind of link together, the little fish do. See how they're just swimming in a little row like that? So we have those in some Melon Mambo. Ooh, let's put those on the inside of our card. I'm going to move this out of the way because I want to stamp on a nice flat surface. Excuse me. And this way it's better. So I'm going to just stamp a few little fish right here. And let me bring in, well, I'll stamp them over here because I want to stamp off a little bit. Let me go down here where it's nice and flat and stamp my little fish there too. I'm letting that ink sink into the paper to get a nice crisp image just like that. So there's the inside and this is the front. And I believe we're all done stamping except for our greeting, but we'll have to come back to that. So now it's time to, well, while we're doing stamping, let's stamp one more thing. Maybe let that ink dry a little bit before we do the reveal. So on that scrap of basic white, we're going to stamp the turtle. And I'm going to stamp him in two colors. I'm going to stamp him in shaded spruce, and I'm going to stamp him in a lighter blue, lighter green, excuse me, which is the soft sea foam. I believe that when you're stamping like this, it's easier to stamp the darker color first so you can see what you're stamping on. So I'm going to start with the shaded spruce, and I have my turtle so that the more ink or more so you can see the shell and stuff is up. The flat side is down because these are reversible stamps. So I'm going to take him here and stamp him. And I found my foam mat, which I should be on there to get a really crisp image. And let me get in the camera now. We need to do there. So it looks like that. Okay, now I'm going to take and clean my stamp using my trusted little half a chamois here. I cut my chamois in half and I keep it in a little plastic baggie, and that way sometimes it's a little easier to use. Plus I take it to go sometimes too. So I'm going to clean my stamp now. I'm going to take him and I'm going to turn him over. So now that flat side of my stamp is up. You probably can't see it on the block. You're going to have to just trust me, but you'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take, oh, we're done with the dark green. Now we're going to take that sea foam, and I think it's still a little bit dark, so I'm going to ink it up. And you can see now that it's solid. I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to line it up, maybe get my head in the camera, and stamp him down. Let that ink sink into the paper. And now look, we have a really adorable little two-tone turtle. And that's just by taking my stamp and turning it over and using both sides. That's what those reversible stamps are great about. All right, now it's time for the reveal. So let's go ahead and peel off very slowly that masking paper. Now my suggestion is you kind of roll it off very slowly like this. Hopefully I got enough stickum off there. Yeah, look at how nice that's coming off. Very slowly, just rolling it off. Oh, and look how pretty and crisp that edge is. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. This one is the way I tore it, so it might not quite be as user-friendly, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna roll it off like this. Yes, look how nice that is. Love it. I love how thin masking paper is from Stampin' Up. It makes it so there's no edges. The only bad thing is that it's really sticky, but in a way that's a good thing. Okay, so we have that piece ready. All we need now is our little greeting. So I'm gonna stop here and explain something to you. So when I did my supply video, I told you I was going to use the go-to greetings on my cards today. Since then, I got my paper pumpkin kit in the mail, and let me show you the paper pumpkin stamp set. So it looks like this. I printed off a cheater sheet here that makes it a little easier to see, but look how cute those stamps are from my paper pumpkin. So I'm going to use my paper pumpkin stamp on this card. Paper Pumpkin is a really cool subscription. The cards this month are fancy fold. They look like this. And you have to be a subscriber to Paper Pumpkin to get the kit. Now, tomorrow, the refill packets look like this, go on sale at Stampin' Up, or at least they should. Usually they come the Monday after the 20th to come in or to into the shop or the store, the online store. You can get them. They look like this. So if you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, as me as your demonstrator, and buy a refill kit, I have a couple extra stamp sets. Where did they go? Like this, right? And I'll send you the stamp set in the mail. So like I said, if you want to buy the refill and become a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, as me as your demonstrator, Kathy House in Denver, Colorado, I'll go ahead and send you the stamp set. All right, that was my sales pitch. Let's go on to the card, because now we need to stamp our little greeting right there. And I'm gonna bring in that foam mat that I just showed you. Oh, here it is again. Set it way over there, like this. And my greeting says, excuse me, it doesn't say cough, cough. It says, waving hello. And look how cute. The turtles in the ocean waves, and we're gonna put waving hello. Plus it's photopolymer, so it's easy to see through, and I can place it straight exactly where I want it, all inked up. Straight up, straight down, let that ink sink in. And look how cute that waving hello is on my card. Alrighty, now I think we're all done stamping. So we need to take this little turtle here and use our paper snips and do some fussy cutting and cut him out. So you don't have to watch, I've done it in advance. And now he looks like that. Is he not adorable? So now we have all of our pieces and parts. Let's put our card together. So I'm gonna start with my card base. It's scored for you at 4 1/4. I'm gonna just use my bone folder here to get a crisp edge on my card. Take that front of the card with a little bit of adhesive and add it to my blueberry bushel. See, now I can remember the name. Couldn't remember at the beginning, but I can now. Okay, try to find which side I like better, although they look the same. I'm gonna lay that there. I'm laying it all flat. The only thing I'm gonna pop up on my card is my little turtle, but you do what you do, whatever you want to your card. I'm gonna lay this one here. Let's go ahead and put the inside in. Now for my turtle, I like the turtle better when I took my bone folder and just curled this side this way, just a little bit, not a lot. This one this way. And then with some mini dimensionals, I'm just gonna slap a couple down the center. So he's got one there, and he's got one there. And then I think when you put him on your card and he's curled like this, he looks more like a little turtle. So let's see, do I have any blemishes on my card? Nope. I think if I had a smudge or if I had, you know, some bad stamping, I would take my turtle and cover that up. I won't tell you if I did that on my other cards, but there you go. Ooh, and then I almost forgot again. We have some embellishments here, just some sequins I'm gonna just scatter those on, kind of outline my little greeting here. Oh, did you see it go flying? I did too. It went way up there. I found him though. And then I'm gonna kind of just go like bubbles up the water here. And this one, maybe we'll put this one down here by this one. And there you go. So that's what my the first card looks like. Very simple. This is called masking technique. I think it's a fun technique and I love to use it. I hope you like it too. All right, let's go on to the second card. Put this one away. Bring in the second packet. Looks like this. It's all this crumb cake. Okay, so we have some baker's twine that we'll set aside for a minute. We have our card base. Let's go ahead and fold that since we have it here. Oh, that was some, I think my embellishment was stuck to my desk. Or the, oh well. And then we'll fold that on that first thing. We're gonna stamp on these two pieces. Bring that in so you can see what we're working with. Okay, so I'm going to bring in that foam mat again and lay my cardstock here. Now, as you can see, I want to stamp my turtle and my greeting, but I want to make sure, let me fix my baker's twine here, that my baker's twine will go between them. So I'm going to stamp my turtle toward the top and my greeting toward the bottom. My turtle is photopolymer, so I'm going to use my stamp pad. My greeting is not, so I'll take it away before I stamp my greeting from that birthday or that go-to greeting stamp set. We're going to use that great big turtle. I have the not flat side, the flat side stuck to my block. He's a pretty big turtle, so I'm gonna lay him down this way. Ooh, nope, got ahead of myself. First thing I wanna do is I wanna use my embossing buddy here, and I'm gonna get all of the static, all of the, anything that the embossing powder would stick to on my paper. This embossing buddy like this is gonna eliminate that. And so I made sure I got him nice and covered with my embossing buddy. Now, make sure my paper's straight. Not that it matters, I could probably fix that. I'm gonna lay my stamp down this way since it's so big, and I'm gonna ink him up just like this. Make sure he's got a good coat of Versamark on him, which is a really sticky ink. And then toward the top of my paper in the center, I'm gonna take and just lay him down right there, and then give it a good press and let that ink sink into the paper. Make sure I get all over. And then let's see if you can see the ink on the paper. Ooh, you kind of can. Now, like I said, I'm gonna take it off of my pierce mat because this stamp is red rubber. I'm gonna ink that one up. Now this stamp's a little bit smaller, so I can just tap it onto my ink pad. And then here at the bottom, one more tap just for good measure. I'm gonna leave a little bit of room, and I'm gonna stamp my happy birthday here. Let me get my head in there, make sure it's straight, and stamp that down like that. Make sure that ink gets, I'm not rocking my stamp, it's straight up, straight down. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I don't wanna skip that red, or smash that red rubber, but I want a nice solid image. So just like that. I'm not gonna put that too far away, we're gonna use that again. And then with some white embossing powder, I'm gonna just put white embossing powder all over my turtle. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna heat up my heat gun, so it's gonna get a little bit noisy, but I want my heat gun warm. Tap that off, and now you have something that looks like that. See how it's a powder on there? Now we're gonna melt that so that it turns into, it looks like plastic again. So make sure I don't have any little pieces hanging everywhere. Make sure I used the wrong embossing powder. Hold on. Well, that's embarrassing. I happen to have clear up here instead of white. So let me scrape off that embossing powder. Doggone it, I knew that didn't look right. And let's see. Turn that off. Make sure I have the right tub. I should have known that I put that for another project. Let me get that. That's embarrassing. Don't tell anybody I did that. I'm gonna wipe that embossing powder off. I'm gonna turn my card over. I have to stamp him again. Bring in that pierce mat. I hope you guys make mistakes and don't think I'm the only idiot that does. Bring in my turtle, that Versamark. That way, if you didn't see it done the first time, you can see it done the second. All right, here, let's try it again. We're gonna stamp that turtle up at the top. A little bit of pressure, get a good image on there. There we go. Take the mat away again. Ink up my greeting. Straight down, straight up, as straight as I can. Instant replay. All right, now we're gonna get white embossing powder right here. Thank goodness I caught that before. And cover that with the white embossing powder. Now you can see that I keep a paintbrush at my desk in case I have a little section here, probably where my thumb was, the embossing powder is sticking to and I don't want. Plus it does a little good tap on the back. And now look, there's white embossing powder on there. Much better. Gonna turn my heat gun on, although I forgot to get it warmed up. And now I'm gonna just melt that embossing powder till it turns shiny and looks like plastic on your card. Embossing is always fun because it does that wow effect. Don't burn your fingers. And I kind of just chase the embossing powder over the card until it's all white and shiny and not a powder anymore. So then it looks like that. Yay, and it's white instead of clear. All right, now we're gonna take that little turtle and I'm gonna clean him because we just used the wrong side, right? So I got him nice and clean. I'm gonna turn it over so that the flat side or the bland side is on the bottom. Bring in that mat. We're gonna stamp him up in Versamark just in the corner here of my inside. This is gonna be the inside of our card. And I got that little turtle right there. And we're gonna bring the embossing powder back in, make sure it's white and not clear. And I'm gonna cover that Versamark, tap off the extra, and let's go ahead. Now you probably can't see the white on white, but I can see it. I can see that powder turn into a shiny plastic again. And now we have our little turtle on there too. Oh, maybe you can see him. See him on there? Okay, now we're good with the embossing. We got it all done right, thank goodness. I'm gonna bring in a piece of scratch paper. I'm gonna bring in a blending brush, and I'm gonna bring in some crumb cake ink. Now carefully, because once you get the paper wet with ink, it's gonna be easy to bend. So I'm gonna carefully pick up some ink here, start off the paper, but I'm gonna just sponge these edges going around my turtle. Like this. Just get some ink on those edges, kind of give it a little bit darker color than our card base, so it looks tone on, or like two-toned and not the same color. I'll show you what I'm talking about when we put our card together. And I'm just getting the edges. I'm trying to like leave the lighter part around the turtle. Careful again that I don't bend the cardstock, because now that it has ink on it, it gets, well, it's not as strong. It gets a little pliable, I guess is the word. That's an awful big word for me. I don't usually use big words like that. All right. Keep going around the edge. We're almost there. We're gonna do the same thing though, and I should have got another one done in advance, so you don't have to sit and watch me blend. But I'm gonna make sure. Let's see how it looks so far. It's starting to look pretty good. I'm gonna get some more ink on there, apply a little bit of pressure. Let me get a little bit more on there and I'll show you the difference between the card base and the crumb cake, which is the same color, but now that I've added ink to one. So now look at the difference here and how that tone on tone is gonna look really good. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing to this piece, because I want my little turtle, first of all, to show up that I've embossed. We'll start with him. And I don't really want the inside stark white. I want it to have some color to it. Like this. Almost bent my paper. Did you see that? Now, another trick is if you have ink on your fingers, like you can see, I have tons of ink on my fingers. I could put a Post-it note here on the inside of my paper and put my fingers on that, and you have less chance of getting your cardstock dirty. I'm gonna just play it risky this time and just keep going. Just a little bit more around the edges here. And I think, like that, I'm good to go. Alrighty, so the last thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna take again that paper pumpkin stamp here and says relax, you deserve it. I'm gonna stamp that on the inside of my card. Using that same crumb cake ink, I'm gonna make sure he's inked up really good. I should use my Pierce mat and just stamp that right down. One more inking just to be sure. Straight up and straight down. I don't think I got it straight. Oh, yeah, maybe I did. Still looks pretty good. Alrighty, so then one thing I didn't mention on my supply list that I should is you need a soft rag. You could use a tissue, you could use a paper towel, but we're gonna just put that soft rag over that turtle and get all that ink. The Stampin' Up! Ink, the classic inks, will not stick to that embossing powder, and you'll get a back to a nice stark white turtle. So it looks like that. Look how nice he looks. Alrighty, let's go ahead and put our card together. Well, no, first thing we want to do is we want to tie our string around our card front. So when you tie your bow around the card front, and Lord knows I gave you enough twine in your kit that you could probably tie 2 bows, or even a double bow. Maybe you want a double bow on your card. I think someone did that in our meeting today, but I'm going to just tie a simple bow like this. Don't worry about trying to get it too tight here. We can fix that with just some tape or dimensionals on the back. So just worry about getting a bow that you like how it looks. Now, a trick with baker's twine is if you tie your bow and get it the size you want it while the knot is loose, I want a little bit smaller, then your loops won't twist. See how I've done that? Then I'm going to do it a little smaller because I think I want them a little bigger when I pull. Then when I take this and pull it tight, see how my loops, made me a liar, but my loops don't twist quite so bad. This one needs to come down though. There we go. Now, 2 things you can do with baker's twine. The first thing is you can take your scissors, let me find a pair of paper snips here, and holding your knot, you could take your baker's twine between your thumb and scissors like this, and you could grip and you go like this, and you can see how you can curl your baker's twine. Look how cute that is. Like this. And then you have curly baker's twine. Looks like that, which I think is really cute. I like the curly baker's twine. You notice that my card is loose here, my ribbon's loose here. It doesn't matter, I can fix that. I'll show you how to fix that. I'm gonna go ahead and trim my baker's twine so that they're not quite so long. I want them about like there. We might have to trim them one more time. And you know what, darn it, I wanna make it a little bit, my bow a little bit smaller. And this one still did twist a little bit, but it's better than sometimes. Sometimes they're really bad and they get really twisty. Oh, is that a word for stamping? Okay, then I'm gonna take my bow here and put it where I want it, to where I want it over here, away from the words on the left-hand side, so my tails don't cover up my word. Well, I can't get him to go. There we go, like that. That's where I want him. So I'm gonna take and turn him over and use dimensionals to hold my string tight. So I'm gonna just pull it tight here and put that dimensional right like that. And then I'm gonna take and tighten it here, or pull it tight here, so you have that little gap here. But look on the front now, it looks nice and tight. So that's just a little bit there. Now let's add the rest of the dimensionals. 1, 2, and 1 in the tummy so he doesn't sag. Okay, take those backs off and add this to the front of our card. Now, if you were doing this flat, you could just take some your tape and pull it tight like that. You could use Scotch tape from a roll. There's lots of ways and different adhesives you could use to get that string so it looks nice and taut. And looky there, look how cute that is. Okay, let's go ahead and put the inside of our card in there. So for this card, I need to thank Remarkably Created. That's who I cased this one from her card. Love this card. The last thing I'm gonna do to my little strands here of baker twine is I'm gonna take my pierce tool here and I'm gonna separate those strands to give it a fray. I think this is one way to make the baker's twine look just a little bit thicker, a little bit fuller on the front of my card. There we go. This one too. Well, I think you get the point. I can't get my pierce tool. There we go. But I'm going to work with it a little bit and just untwine or I'm going to ravel. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make those so it's frayed. Okay, there we go. Now it's just a hot mess. Look at me try. I need a brush. Does anybody have a brush? Okay, and like I said, I think they're still a little bit too long. They are definitely frayed now. There we go. And I'm going to trim those a little bit shorter so that they're even. And there you go. There's my card right there. Alrighty, so there's our cards today. Thanks for being a part of Stamp Club. Like I said, if you want to join us at Stamp Club, all you have to do is let me know. I'll get you a packet out for August. Again, we're going to use the little turtles. I showed them today on the Zoom what the cards will be next month. So if you want to see what those are, be sure and I'll send those to you too. Alrighty, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next month. Take care. Bye-bye.